move or like do something because I feel really awkward. I was like, okay, let me re-download Tinder. I'm single again. Screw you. I'm not gonna like wait around for you to like cancel on me. Fuck you, Rob. Like seriously, what the hell? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another Fella Friday video. So for those of you who don't know, Fella Friday is the series on my channel where I talk about a different kind of fella or boy each Friday that I've encountered in my dating life. But yeah, let's jump right into it. So, you know, I'm open with you guys, I'm honest, I'm real. So today's Fella Friday is about the most recent guy that I've dated. I don't really have another name for him because it's still pretty recent, so I haven't had like a lot of time to digest or really figure this guy out. But you know, I figured I always do a bunch of like older stories, but why not do like a recent one so I can give you kind of like my fresh thoughts. Yeah. Okay, let's jump right into it. So me and this guy met in January via Tinder. Shout out Tinder. And it was really funny because we matched and we were talking for like a really long time before meeting up. Well, for like me, it was a really long time. I think it was like 2 to 3 weeks. And I kind of have two opinions on this. Like one, I feel like if you are talking for so long before you guys meet up, sometimes you've already discussed like everything that you would usually discuss on a first date. So it gets kind of like awkward when you meet up because you're like, oh shit, I already know like so much about this person. And then the second part is that, this is gonna make me sound kind of bad, but sometimes I feel like it's kind of a waste of time. Like if I've been talking to you for like 3 weeks, we go on a date and there's like no connection, and I kind of feel like I wasted 3 weeks of my life, you know, like talking to you every day. So it's usually not what I do. I usually like to meet up a little bit quicker once I kind of get a vibe for someone that I want to like hang out with them. But anyway, we just like couldn't meet up. Things were happening that, I don't know, that we couldn't like meet up. We had like different schedules. So I think we were talking for 3 weeks and like I was really getting to know this guy and I was like, whoa, like, yeah, I like him. Let's call him Rob. So me and Rob were like really vibing. So we decided to grab drinks one night. We finally like have a night that we can both meet up at like a bar that I go to a lot. It's like one of my favorite bars. And I see him there and he's like standing outside, and the first thing I noticed how tall he was super tall, like almost 2 meters tall, and he's wearing like a black leather jacket. I am like, Rob, you are looking good. So we go inside, we sit down, we have a drink, and we're like vibing, we're having, you know, really good conversations, really like, you know, just hitting it off. And one thing I think may be good to know about Rob is that he still lives with his mom, so he still lives at home, which isn't necessarily like a problem. Like I would never say I won't date someone because they still live at home, and he's 22, so he's not that old. But like for me, we were kind of like different in that way. Like I'm very independent and he still lived at home, obviously, which was kind of different, but it did not turn me off to dating Rob. So at the end of the first date, we both walk outside, and the bar's like in both of our neighborhoods. We live in the same neighborhood, so we're kind of like standing there, and it's like kind of awkward because you know that point where you're like, are we gonna kiss or not, you know? So we're kind of just both standing there, and I like go in to give him a hug, and I wanted to like kiss him on the cheek because I was like, okay, maybe like he'll turn in and kiss me. But Rob is super tall, so I'm like trying to stand on my toes and kiss him on the cheek, and it's super awkward, and like he's just like looking at me, and I'm like, make a move or like do something because I feel really awkward. And then he kisses me, but it was just like an awkward ending to the date. Like the kiss was not like great, and I don't know, after we were done, I was like, yeah, I gotta go this way. And I just started like walking away, and he was like, yeah, I gotta go that way. It was super awkward. So if you guys remember my dating the older guy video, or my Fella Friday about that, I said that I texted the older guy again when I had a bad date. So it was my date with Rob that was like the bad date. So I go home, I'm like mortified. I'm like, this was the worst date. I just wasted all my time texting him and now going on this date. And I didn't hear from him again that night, which is fine, you know, like whatever. So I thought it would like nothing would happen. But the next day I got a text from him and we're talking again, and I was like, okay, maybe I kind of built it up in my head or something, like that it was really bad, but it was actually really fun, and maybe we were just both nervous. So me and Rob like talked a lot. We'd send like a lot of voice messages like every day about our day and stuff like that, which is definitely different for me. Like I'm not that big of a texter in a relationship, and a lot of my friends were like, I was like, oh, Rob this, Rob that. They were like, seriously, are you guys like already dating? You guys are so, you know, talking all the time. But he was also super sweet. So the next time, our second date, he offered to cook me dinner because the week after I had exams, and I had exam at night from like 7 till 9 p.m. and he offered to cook me dinner after my exam, which was so sweet. So after my exam I went over to his house. So his mom, she works nights, so she was never home like when we would be there, and he cooked me spaghetti. He had like lit candles. It was so cute and romantic, and I was like, whoa, like this is definitely like more of just like a actual like romantic date than really like a hookup date, I guess. And he was a super gentleman. Like afterwards we like sat on the couch and he like put his arm around me. We started Money Heist, or La Casa de Papel, and we're like, oh, this is our show, like we can't watch it without each other, you know. So we started our show, and we didn't even like hook, like we kissed, and it was a lot better than the first kiss, but we didn't hook up or anything like that. Like he was such a gentleman. Like we took things really slowly. So yeah, I was like kind of like, whoa, what is happening? Like, are we, like we were dating, but obviously not like, we weren't in a relationship, but we were dating each other. So this goes on for a couple weeks, and like every week we kind of have a good date. One time I cooked him dinner, one time we had like a Netflix night. So yeah, that was basically, you know, for like a month how things were, and it was super good. And in between we would like text all the time, talk all the time. That was basically like all of January, beginning of February. And I really liked him. I was like, whoa, this is like a really, really good guy. The only thing was, I think because we lived in the same neighborhood and like we were really comfortable with each other right away, so we would always hang out at one of our houses and like watch Netflix. We kind of felt like we were already like a married couple or something. Like we wouldn't really go out and do stuff, which didn't bother me at the time because, you know, we were just like really comfortable with each other really fast. And then on the 14th of February, Valentine's Day, we planned our next date. So that was kind of already like, oh shit, like we've only been going out for like a month, but it's Valentine's Day. Like in Europe, Valentine's Day is like not as big a thing, I think, as in the US. So I was already kind of like, ah, shit, should I say something? I decided not to say something, but I did like make sure I looked really good. I was wearing like a dress and stuff like that. Went over to his house, we had dinner together, and we kept watching our show, and we had a really fun night. And like it was definitely like both, we were like, whoa, we really like each other. So I was like, oh, this is so cute. Like I finally had a Valentine's date in like years since my ex. So yeah, it was a good night. So after that Valentine's dates, I could kind of feel that he was getting a little bit more distant. So I was like, you know, like kind of texting him to hang out, but he was heading out of like Amsterdam for Carnival, which is like, yeah, this big holiday in like more the south of Holland or the north of Holland, like in different areas, but not in Amsterdam. So he was heading with friends. So I just texted him like, hey, have fun with your friends, like, you know, whatever. Like I wasn't gonna be bothering him all weekend. And he was like, yeah, thanks. Like, but we didn't really text after that. And that was, I think, like a week later. So then a couple days after he got back, I texted him like, hey, how was your carnival? Like, how was it? And he was like, yeah, no, it was really fun, but I was really like hungover and stuff like that. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna have the balls to ask him what's up. So I was like, hey, like, do you want to hang out again? Because I'm kind of confused. I feel like I'm getting mixed signals. Because it went from like texting every day, being super comfortable, talking about our show, and like then going to this. So I was really confused. And he was like, yeah, like I really like you, but I feel like, because I told him like, you're sending me mixed signals. And he was like, yeah, I really like you, but I'm kind of don't know, like I feel like it's really serious, and I don't know, like I don't really have time to hang out right now, and like whatever. And I was like, okay, you know, then just leave it. I'm at the point in my life where I want someone who's going to prioritize me, and I feel like in that sense he was still really young. It might be because he was still also living at home, but he like really needed, I don't know, someone to be like, let's hang out, let's hang out. Like it was, a lot of the time it was coming from my end, and I don't really care like if I have to put in more effort to hang out. That doesn't really bother me, but I do want someone who's going to prioritize me when we do hang out. And he would always be like, yeah, I have to see, I'm like busy with school, busy with friends. And then like the last second he'd be like, yeah, let's hang out. And I'm like, no, like you can definitely tell me a day in advance, like if you can hang out. You don't have to do it like in the last second. So then I told him like, okay, well, if you're not really sure, that's fine, but then I think we should just like end it here, because, you know, I want someone who's gonna like put some effort into me. And it was honestly like a okay ending. Like we weren't super pissed at each other or anything, which is fine. So I think we'd been going out for like a month and a half. Going out loosely, we weren't obviously exclusively dating, but like dating each other. And yeah, then I thought it was over. I was like, okay, whatever. Like I was kind of like, I was pretty upset because I did really like him. And it was definitely one of the most like one of the more romantic relationships I've had recently. So yeah, I was kind of sad about it. But then quarantine rolls around and I'm like, ugh, whatever, like no man. And I'm bored one night on my phone and I'm like, you know, let me just re-download Tinder. Because me and him had like, oh yeah, we had deleted Tinder together because he told me that he'd been cheated on in the past and he only wanted to be dating like one person at a time. So I guess we were kind of exclusive. I kind of forgot about this part. But yeah, he asked me if like I was seeing anyone else and I was like, no, I'm not, like I'm all in on you. And he's like, yeah, I'm all in on you as well. And we deleted Tinder together. So I was like, okay, let me re-download Tinder. I'm single again. And I come across him on Tinder. I think this was like end of March maybe. So beginning of quarantine, about a month after we had broken things off. So I'm like, I'm curious if he's gonna swipe right on me. So I swiped right and he was like, hey, like you look familiar, like definitely flirting. And we were like just laughing. I was asking him about his quarantine. He was like, yeah, it's pretty intense because his mom was home like full time now as well. So he like had to be around his mom the whole time when like usually she worked nights, so he had a lot more freedom. So I said something like, oh, well, you know, if you ever want to escape your mom, like we can go on like a distance like walk or like watch a movie together. So we like decide to hang out and have like a movie night. And literally like that night I kind of texted him at like 6 p.m. ish, like, hey, what time are you coming over, like just so I know. And he hadn't even texted me. He just like said like, hey, sorry, like completely forgot to text you, but I'm sick, so I don't think it's a good idea to hang out. He could have been sick, like I do believe that, but come on, you could have texted me earlier than when I texted you to hang out. So I was pretty pissed off. So I just replied like, yeah, like get well soon, period. And like we didn't really talk after that. So it was kind of over, me and him again. And then he texted me, I think like a month later, like in April. And he was like, hey, look, I just wanted to say about last time, like I was really sick, but I'm feeling a lot better now. And like, it wasn't corona, but I don't know what happened. But do you want to maybe like go on like a social distance walk? I was like, yeah, okay, sure, you know, give this guy another chance. Maybe he was really sick. Like I said, I did really like this guy. So me and Rob, I was like, you know, maybe I'll just give him another chance. So he asked me what day I could that week. And I said Thursday or Friday. And then we agreed on Thursday. So Thursday again rolls around and I texted him like, hey, what time do you want to like hang out? And he's like, hey, I'm so sorry. My mom just said that we're having a barbecue and I can't, go anymore, like sorry. And I was like, what the fuck? So literally 2 times after we'd already broken up, you're texting me to hang out again and you cancel on me last minute. Like this is just the part where he's so like immature still that he doesn't understand why that like would piss me off. Like I'd spent literally like, I was already done getting ready. Oh yeah, sorry, for this date we had actually set a time and it was like 30 minutes before we were supposed to hang out. So I'd like gotten all ready, gotten all dressed up. So I was pissed. So I literally just wrote back like, oh, and then he said like, oh, you can do tomorrow as well, right? And I was like, nope, sorry, other plans tomorrow. I was like, screw you. I'm not gonna like wait around for you to like cancel on me. And he was like, oh, okay. It's like all he said, didn't talk again. I was like, fuck you, Rob. Like seriously, what the hell? You know, I guess he just like wanted to show that I was still interested in him in a way. Like he kept coming back around, but it was just very confusing and kind of like upsetting because like I said, I did like him and I kind of wanted to see like, oh, maybe we can try again. But he's just still like a kid. He's still immature and isn't ready for like a real relationship, I think, because he needs someone who's gonna like constantly be okay with him changing the plan or constantly be like asking him like, hey, what's the plan? And I want a guy who's like mature enough to like make plans with me and like follow through on them. And then the only other thing that happened in our relationship, I guess, is that a couple weeks ago, I think like maybe 3 weeks ago now, so this was again after him ditching me for the barbecue incident, he texted me and he was like, hey, look, I just wanted to say I'm sorry for how I canceled last minute last time. I can imagine like that you didn't really like that and I'm sorry, I just thought that you could also hang out on Friday. So I texted him back like, hey, yeah, you're right, I really didn't like that, but appreciate the apology. And then he like never replied and I was like, then what was your point of like texting me? Like, okay, I appreciate the apology, but it was just so weird and out of nowhere, like, I don't know. So like I said, I guess this is the most recent guy I've dated. I guess it's like fully over since then. So yeah, I mean, I guess it was already fully over in like February. I don't really know. It's always hard like how long relationships go on because you still kind of stay in touch and then try to hang out again and it never works. But yeah, this is the most recent guy I've dated. I'm not heartbroken about it. Me and him really were not a good match because we're definitely in different phases of our life and want different things. But it was kind of an interesting thing where I'm like, oh, like in the beginning we kind of fell really hard. Like we deleted Tinder together, we, you know, we're having these super romantic dates, we started a show together. I've still not finished Money Heist because of him, and then suddenly like it just fizzles out and someone keeps kind of like coming around and hanging on to you but not actually making a commitment. It's kind of a weird situation, but you know, if you live and you learn, and I had a good time on the dates that we did have, and you never know who the next guy is that I'm gonna meet. I am not really currently dating anyone, kind of talking to some people, see where it goes, but I'll definitely keep you updated if there's a new man in my life. But now I've gotten way too personal with the internet again, and you know about my most recent dating history. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys again next week with a Never Fella Friday, and usually post Tuesdays and Fridays. Tuesday is a regular video, Friday a Fella Friday. So subscribe and keep in touch. Bye!